Hello! Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video. And welcome to the Gridiron. And before we get started, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone out there who's been watching my videos. Thank you. If you can maybe give this video a thumbs up or possibly leave a comment below or maybe even share this video, it would mean so much to me. But anyway, just thank you so much for just taking time out of your day to check out this video. Thank you! Well, the New York Giants, their number one, their first round selections from 1980 to 1989. The decade there started off good, and then it's kind of started going downhill a little bit there. But what we got in the beginning, really helped pave the way for our first Super Bowl victory, and our second Super Bowl victory as well too. But a lot of it with our second Super Bowl victory was a lot of the guys we got maybe in some of the other rounds, just not maybe so much the first rounders. But George Young took over as a GM in 1979, and that's when we were on a roll for a while with our first round selections, just and our drafts, just period. Were really, really bad. We were never, stockpiling the team with good, young, quality talent, good quality depth. A lot of times we wound up trading away picks and all of that. So sometimes, in the 60s and the 70s, we even have first round picks. Well, that wasn't the case here in the 80s. George Young came in 1979. He started changing everything. He made his first pick, 1979, quarterback, Phil Simms, Morehead State. Could have had Joe Montana, but that might be a different story for a different video. But we took Phil Simms. He became, he was our quarterback for quite a while. But he started getting some good quality, picks in, and helped building the team, and that's what helped build, the roster for the 1986 and 1990 Super Bowl teams. So when 1980 rolled around, his first pick, we had pick number 8. All right, in the first round, we took Mark Haynes from Colorado. Very good pick. He played 6 seasons with the Giants. He played from 1980 to 1985 with the Giants. He had a nice 10-year career. He played 1986, 1989 with the Broncos. He had 17 career interceptions. He was a 3-time Pro Bowler. Okay. He was in a bitter contract dispute with the Giants. He was trying to, back then things were different. They aren't what they are now. So he was in a bitter contract dispute. I know one of the seasons, it was 84. He signed for. He had like $400,000 a year. Guys make that in a game nowadays. Some guys make that in a quarter nowadays. Literally. You got I don't know, Tyreek Hill's making almost $2 million a game. So right. But I think 84. I think he made around 400,000. I think 1985 he made a little bit more than that. But he was in a contract. He just was not happy. He also got injured in 85 and he didn't play much at all. So what all wound up coming down to is the Giants, he didn't want to be here. And Giants granted him his wish, and they traded him to the Broncos for 3 players. Now so in 1986, he went to the Denver Broncos and played from 1986 to 1989. The funny thing about that is that in 1986, the Giants went to the Super Bowl. 1986, the Giants traded Mark Haynes to the Broncos. 1986, the Broncos played in the Super Bowl. And then in 1986, the Giants whooped up on the Broncos. But he got what he wanted. He got paid. The Broncos went to three Super Bowls in his 4 years there. 1986 and 1987. 1986, the Giants whooped up on him. 1987, the Redskins killed him. And in 1989, the Broncos got killed by the 49ers. that was the one against the Redskins and the one against the 49ers. The games were just absolutely freaking horrible, unbelievably horrible. But he got his wish. He had 17 career interceptions. 4 of them, I think, he had with the Broncos. So I mean, he started 27 games in his 4 seasons there, which would have been 64 games he would have played in his 4 seasons. He could have played. He started in 27. So I don't know if it was really worth the Broncos. I mean, they traded 3 draft picks for him. He played 4 seasons. He was not an All-Pro. He had a grand total of 4 interceptions, and he started in less than half the games. So I don't know if it was worth it to the Broncos, but he was happy anyway. But when he was with the Giants, I said he had 3 All-Pro seasons. He was a very, very good pick. So that we started the decade off right, 1980 with Mark Haynes. 1981, what can you say? The greatest defensive player of all time. Lawrence Taylor took him, number 2 overall from North Carolina. He was with the Giants from 1981 to 1993. The big question that kind of kept me guessing was the Saints. Who were they going to go with? Were they going to take George Rogers or were they going to take Lawrence Taylor? Well, luckily they took George Rogers. Now, out of South Carolina. Now, George Rogers had a very good college career, and he wound up with 7,176 rushing yards, which is nothing to sneeze at. He wasn't a Hall of Famer, but he had his rushing yards, 54 rushing touchdowns, which is nothing to sneeze at either. And actually, in 1981, the year he got drafted, he led the NFL in rushing. He had 1,674 rushing yards, so he had a very good rookie season. Lawrence Taylor was the defensive player of the year, the rookie of the year, and all that. Obviously Lawrence Taylor is the greatest defensive player of all time, bar none, in the story. But I mean, George Rogers, had a very good career. Just goes to kind of show you is that the number 1 pick was a running back. Things changed a little bit. I mean, I know we took Saquon at number 2, but I mean, you'll see a little theme kind of going on here. Running backs back then in the 80s, teams didn't have a problem drafting running backs high back in the 80s. So I mean, we had Lawrence Taylor, right? The GOAT on defense. What can you say? 1982. Then we pick number 18, first round from Michigan. We took a running back. We took Butch Wolfhawk. He had a 7-year career, 3 of them with the Giants. He actually had more receiving yards than he did rushing yards. He had 1,923 rushing yards. He had 8 career touchdowns rushing. I think he had 8 career receiving touchdowns as well too. He had 1,939 receiving yards. All right, we drafted, and this just goes to show you times are changing. First round, 1982, we took Butch Wolfhawk. Second running back, Butch Wolfhawk. Second round, 1982 draft, we took running back Joe Morris. So thankfully, because I mean we had a couple years later we got Otis Anderson. We had Rob Carpenter. We had Joe Morris. We had Butch Wolfhawk. We had, so we had some guys there. It's just Butch Wolfhawk was the kind of the odd man out, didn't have a stellar career. Good player in college, but not a very good draft pick for the Giants. 1983. All right, this is when we went back. We got another good solid pick. We had 4 good solid picks in the 80s, and they were all on defense. 1983, Terry Canard, first round. We took him number 10 overall out of Clemson. All right, he played 1983 and 1989 with the Giants. Shame he didn't last with the Giants one more season. He would have gotten the 2nd Super Bowl ring. 1990, he finished his career with the Oilers. He had 31 career interceptions. 7 fumble recoveries. He was a Pro Bowler in 1988 season, right? And he's in the College Football Hall of Fame. And when he was at Clemson, he was a 2-time consensus All-American. So he was very good in college. And he was, very good. I'm not going to say an outstanding Hall of Fame or anything like that, but he was a very good player for the New York Giants, and he certainly helped us, throughout the 80s when we were making the playoffs and the Super Bowl and all. So it's just a shame for him he didn't hang around for 1990. He wasn't here because we got his second Super Bowl ring. Then we had our fourth solid defensive pick, all right, in the first round in the 80s. And after that, we just kind of started tailing off. 1984, we took Carl Banks, number 3 overall in the first round from Michigan State. 2-time Super Bowl champion, All-Pro in 1987. He was a Pro Bowler in 1987 as well. He was on the 1980s All-Decade team. He's in the Giants Ring of Honor, as well as he should. Super Bowl 21, he was probably the best player on the field, except for Phil Simms, who had that, the phenomenal, 22 out of 25. But, Carl Banks, 14 tackles, 10 solo tackles. He was phenomenal. Those playoffs, he was phenomenal. John Madden, when the Giants played the 49ers in the 86 playoffs, the Giants won 49-3. John Madden said multiple times during that game, if you ever watch that game on YouTube, that Carl Banks is the best player on the field. He said it multiple times. You could not run his way. He set an edge. You could not get around him. He was good. He was really, really good. I mean, those playoffs, he dominated. He was phenomenal. It's a shame he doesn't get more recognition for the Hall of Fame, but it is what it is. But he played from 1984 to 1992 with the Giants, and somehow he went for the Redskins. What a slap in the face in 1993. And then he finished up his career with the Browns from 94-95. And, of course, the Browns coach in 94-95 was Bill Belichick, who was the defensive coordinator for the Giants when Carl Banks was here played with the Giants. So I got that little familiarity going on there. So Carl Banks was our fourth, good, solid defensive pick in the first round. And after that, it just kind of starts tailing off a little bit. 1985 with George Adams, running back out of Kentucky, pick number 19 overall. So we had, we had Joe Morris, we got George Adams, we had Otis Anderson, Then after that, I believe it was in 1990, I think we took Rodney Hampton in the first round. So, we took a lot of running backs. We don't do that anymore for the most part, but we took a lot of running backs back then. But George Adams, he was with the Giants from 85 to 89. He was in New England for 2 years in 1990, 1991. He started a total of 16 career games. And that includes the Giants and New England. 16 career games he started. He had 886 career rushing yards. Actually, the same thing happened with him with Butch Woolfolk. He had 1,014 career receiving yards. He had more receiving yards than passing yards. But first round running back, he had 886 career rushing yards. Unbelievably horrible pick. Absolutely horrible pick. 1986 first round pick. Then we took Eric Dorsey out of Notre Dame. Hey! The Fighting Irish, baby. That's my team. His first round, number 19 overall. He was with the Giants from 1986, his whole career. He was with the Giants from 86 to 92, 2-time Super Bowl champion. He was big, he was strong, he was very powerful, right? He didn't get blown off the line or anything like that. But he was pretty much like an end. And he had 7 career sacks. He's a good player, but first round pick. He broke his foot in 1980, and then things started tailing off. His injuries had to wind up ending his career toward the end. He broke his foot in 1989. Then in 1991, he had arthroscopic knee surgery. In 1991, he missed some time there. Missed a few games because of that. And then, so he played till 1992. In the preseason of 93, he had some real bad back pains. They took x-rays of it, and it showed that his left hip was starting to deteriorate, right? And he pretty much had to retire right there. So he didn't even make it to the start of the 1993 season. So his career was from 86 to 92. It's a nice, good depth player. And you certainly start him on the line, absolutely. As a good, powerful, But, I mean, a first rounder, I mean, defense, he has 7 career sacks. I mean, not the greatest of picks. Then we had 1987. We had Mark Ingram, all right, a wide receiver from Michigan State, pick number 28 overall, okay? He played 10 seasons. He had a nice, long career, okay? He played 1987 and 1992 with the Giants, all right? So he got this one Super Bowl victory, all right? 1993 and 94 with Miami. Played 1995 with Green Bay. And ended up his career with the Eagles in 1996. Ouch. As I said, he was Super Bowl 25 champ. His career, 10-year career, he had 265 receptions for 3,926 yards and 26 touchdowns. So, I mean, yeah. So if you break that down, he averaged 26 catches a year, 393 yards a year. He averaged 2.6 touchdowns a year for 10 years. He's a first-round pick. I think his first 4 years with the Giants, he had like 50 catches or something. I mean, is that really a first-round pick? No. Then we go on to 1988. Okay, we had Eric Moore. Okay, Indiana. He was a guard. All right, in the first round, we took him number 10 overall. He was a starter in Super Bowl 25. All right, he was with the Giants from 1988 to 1993. 1994, he was with the Bengals. 1995, he was with the Browns and Bill Belichick. And 1995, he was with the 2 teams in 1995. He was with the Browns in 95, and then he finished off with the Dolphins in 1995. All right, he wasn't without his troubles as well. 1993, he was sentenced on a steroid possession. It was like an international steroid ring, and he got sentenced for that. He was suspended for, I believe, the first 4 weeks of the 1993 season. So he had some of his own problems. But, I mean, first-round pick, number 10 overall. I mean, a nice player, but, I mean, number 10, nope. And that leads us to our last player, okay? In 1989, we took Brian Williams in the first round, number 18 overall from Minnesota. Okay, he was a center. He only started in 6 games at center in his first 5 seasons. He was behind Bart Oates. I don't know why we took a center. We had Bart Oates. Bart Oates is the only player, okay, on the offensive line who started in the 86 or Super Bowl 21 and Super Bowl 25. So we had Bart Oates, center, and then we took. I guess they thought Bart Oates was going to retire, but Bart Oates he was like the Energizer Bunny. He just kept on playing. So Brian Williams kind of sat and kind of waited for his turn, pretty much. I mean, he played some games, but he only started 6 games in his first 5 seasons. All right. The Giants, and then with Bart Oates there, Bart Oates after '93 wasn't there anymore, and the Giants after the '93 season had the number 1 rushing attack. Okay. Then we put Brian Williams in there at center. Then when he took over for the next 3 seasons, all right, the 1994, 95, and 96, all right, the Giants' rushing attack went from 1st to 10th to 13th to 21st. Now, I'm not saying it's all his fault. I mean, we did not have phenomenal teams there in 94, 95, and 96 either. I mean, those were the last 3 for Dan Reeves. We made the playoffs in 93, 94, 95, 96. We did not. We did not have phenomenal teams. Quarterback play was not the greatest either. But, so it wasn't all his fault. But, I mean, he was not, I mean, if you're a first-round pick, you're not sitting on the sideline waiting for somebody to retire. You're taking a first-round pick that you can just plug and play, and off he goes. So, I mean, George Young had some very good picks in the early 80s. He had a lot of good quality depth players in the second round and so on and all, like Joe Morris. Very, very good picks. But he said he had the beginning of the 80s was very, very good. The end of the 80s and even into the 90s, which I'll do my video on tomorrow, his picks were not so good. Well, as always, guys, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video. You guys stay safe out there and go Giants. Woo!